All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the Malzberg panel, part two. Retired NYPD detective and, of course, a 25-year veteran of law enforcement, Harry Houck, and former Navy SEAL and FBI agent, Jonathan Gilliam. And, Jonathan, as I mentioned, you were with us yesterday, and you talked about, in part, a piece that you wrote, the top, I think it was 10 things that we need to do to be safe in 2015. Let's talk about this. You know, we keep hearing that there's really no way to prevent this. A lot of people are shocked. And we're shocked in the aftermath of 9/11 that we had never seen this to this extent happen here. I mean, I hate to say it, but it would be so easy to accomplish here, right?
Absolutely. You know, and that piece yesterday talked about personally what we can do here and the things, the security issues that we have that are going to face us in 2015, because every year that goes by, nothing gets fixed. And I actually wrote another piece on my Tumblr back in October talking about the fact that law enforcement is not ready for multiple attacks that happen all at the same time, which happened like 15 attacks by ISIS in one day back in October. And, you know, this today, every time you add an element to training, every time you add another operator in an attack, the danger and the death toll can go up exponentially. And we really need to start looking at this, not only happening in multiple cities, but having multiple groups or teams of people coming in and doing these things. I mean, it's as easy as the right guys getting into the United States and acquiring weapons. As I've said many, many times, the day that a weapon, the second that a gun was invented, it will always be in the hands of bad people.
Right, right. And Harry, specifically with regards to New York, this is one city that immediately changed its terrorist preventive profile based on what happened today and took precautions. Talk about New York, because, you know, I think it was the president who once said that his biggest concern when he goes to bed every night is that a nuke will go off in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's you know, concerned about something like that happening, but here in New York, we're prepared. The NYPD has done a lot of work since 9/11, working with the FBI and Homeland Security and maintaining this the security of the city. We haven't had an attack since 9/11, and it's really some people think it's strange that we haven't had an attack like this type that occurred in Paris here in New York or in the United States. But it just goes to show you how great a job Homeland Security and local law enforcement are doing, you know, to protect us, and that we haven't had an attack like this.
And Jonathan, one of the things you talked about yesterday was awareness. But, you know, does awareness really cut it at this point? I mean, I don't think awareness could prevent something like this. You would need, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would need manpower and firepower that would be the equivalent, at least, of what's going to come in on the attack to a facility, to a building, to an office, to a school, to prevent it. No matter how aware you are, and even if you got like one armed cop, that's not going to stop it, right?
Right, but let's start, I mean, when you say awareness, it comes in different fashions. Now, this wouldn't even be the case if France had a better immigration policy and had a tighter hold on who travels to the battlefield and back, and starts, you know, really looking at the people who are having these riots that they've had in France for a long time by the very same people who are probably carrying out this attack. On the ground floor, though, when something like this happens, you know, love them or hate them, the NRA says it best. There's nothing better to stop a man with a gun than a good guy with a gun. I mean, that's the truth about this. And you know, when we use words like Kerry did there a little while, Secretary Kerry saying that these guys were martyrs for freedom, the guys that got killed, you know, they stood for freedom of speech and freedom of the press. But to go so far as to call them martyrs, you wouldn't have to be a martyr if you prepared and hardened your facility when you're going to reach out and throw verbal assaults at an enemy. You have to be smarter than that.
Yeah, that's interesting, and Harry, he makes a very good point. Talk about you know, the Hercules forces. I remember, you know, seeing them since 9/11 from time to time, you know, with the vests and the helmets and the
Right.
heavy weapons standing here or there. But there's only so many of them to go around, correct?
Yeah, but they're strategically placed all over the city. So if we had an attack like this in New York, believe me, these guys would face automatic weapons from our police department. There is a plan in this city for an attack. They're prepared for it all the time. They practice for it all the time. And You know, the fact that here in Paris, even some police officers don't even carry guns, I was hearing today, which I was really shocked about. And the fact that they had just pulled the security from this building because they haven't had any threats against it. I know Europe's got a lot bigger threat from Islamist terrorists than the United States is. It seems like Muslims that come to this country assimilate, but apparently they don't assimilate in Europe, and that's why they have a big problem.
Can I just say one thing
Yeah,
about
go ahead,
that?
Jonathan, sure.
You know, I agree with what Harry's saying, but here's the one thing that goes against all the preparation. The politicians and the city planners in New York and many of the cities around this country, they do things like Times Square, where they build places for people to sit and gather. And we're not talking about 10 or 20, we're talking about tens of thousands of people. Meanwhile, they do not shut the roads down in Times Square. That is like having a freeway go through Disneyland. And it's ridiculous. That is going. There's a reason why the guy went there before with a bomb. Luckily, it didn't go off. But 6:30 on a Saturday is when he tried to do it. That would have killed literally 1,000 people or more, right where he put it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right, that's very true.
And how important, Jonathan, is recognizing the enemy? Because this administration, although they called it a terror attack, will never say Islamic terror.
Right. Here's the key to that. Is you have to prepare your society. Otherwise, you're going to have a society of weak, uneducated minds. We do not need to teach helplessness to the United States public. We need to teach them to empower themselves and be aware. I think in Sony's case, I think in this thing over in France, there were insiders that had to be a part of this. And I think that, people need to be aware. I'm not talking about turning around and snitching on everybody.
No, that's interesting, though, Jonathan. We have less than a minute. You think insiders within that magazine?
I think so, because the fact that they chose the day that they did and all those individuals are there at the same time and they were able to get inside. I think this was a somewhat secure building. I think there will be found possibly somebody that was involved.
You agree, Harry?
Yes, I agree 100%. There's no way that they know they're going to have a specific meeting that day.
Right.
No way that they would know all these people would be together. They knew, and I'm sure that the authorities in France are looking at that right now, and they're going through everybody's name.
And that would narrow it down if, in fact, they could they could figure that out. Someone who wasn't there but would have access or knowledge. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you both very much. A trying time today, and I thank you for your expertise and coming by, Jonathan Gilliam and Harry Houck. Okay, when we come back, folks, Dinesh D'Souza will join us, and he'll weigh in on what occurred today. Don't go away.